An agent follows orders, a stranger breaks every rule, but when the mission twists into something darker, trust becomes the deadliest risk of all. The story begins in Paris, where we see a man named James Reece. Reece is the personal aide to a U.S. ambassador named Bennington. Reece is briefing Bennington about his daily schedule when he receives a phone call. On the call, Reece is instructed to change the license plate of a silver car. He heads to the parking area and very carefully changes the car's license plate, making sure no one sees him doing it. After switching the plate, he waits and watches as a few CIA agents get into the car and drive off. Reece actually does small jobs for the CIA from time to time, hoping that one day he'll become a real field agent, someone who goes on dangerous missions and works on the front lines. In the evening, Reece arrives home. Just then, he gets a call from a CIA officer. The officer praises Reece for his work. Reece says, "If you gave me the chance, I could do so much more." Reece asks, "Sir, did you receive my A4 training application?" But the officer says, "You'll get your shot at special ops when the time comes. But right now, I need you to secure a chip in the foreign minister's conference room during tomorrow's meeting with the ambassador." Reece has a girlfriend named Carolyn. They live together. Reece loves Carolyn very much. They are a happy couple. The next day, Reece attends the meeting, and as instructed by the CIA to secure a chip, he plants the chip. In the evening, when Reece comes home, Carolyn welcomes him lovingly. Carolyn gives Reece a special gift. Just then, Reece gets a call from the CIA officer. The officer praises Reece for planting the chip in the foreign minister's office. The officer says there's an important task that Reece has to do tonight. When Reece asks about it, the officer tells him that he needs to get to the airport as soon as possible, where his partner, named Charlie Wax, has been held by French customs, and he needs to get him out. Hearing the word partner, Reece reminds the officer, "Sir, you know I'm not special ops certified, and I've only handled low-level assignments so far." The officer replies, "Complete this mission successfully, and you'll be accepted into the elite group of field agents, so you'll finally be one of us." Reece feels overjoyed hearing this, because he had always been waiting for such an opportunity. Carolyn asks Reece the reason for his happiness. Reece tells her that he got promoted. Then Carolyn gives Reece the special gift. It's a ring. Carolyn tells him that the ring belonged to her father, and now she's giving it to Reece so that he always remembers her and her love. Reece accepts the gift with deep emotion, as if it's not just a gift but a symbol of love and trust. As Reece prepares to leave for his mission, Carolyn stops him and says, "Promise me you'll never take off this ring." Reece promises. Then he leaves for the airport. When Reece arrives at the airport, he learns from an officer that Charlie Wax has been held because of his energy drink cans. Wax is telling the customs officer that it's just a can of energy drink, but the officer replies that whether it's an energy drink or something else, he can't take the cans through. Wax tells the officer, "We Americans have always saved France, in World War I, in World War II, and this motherfucker still won't let me take my cans." Just then, Reece approaches Wax and says that the priority right now is to clear customs. But Wax insists that he's not leaving without his cans. Finally, giving in, Reece pulls a diplomatic mail sticker from his jacket and sticks it on Wax's bag full of cans. And finally, Wax is cleared and released with his cans. Enjoying the movie so far? Don't forget to subscribe for more. We bring you detailed movie explanations you won't want to miss. After that, Wax tells Reece they're going to a Chinese restaurant. On the way, Reece asks Wax why he made such a big scene over a few cans. He could have easily gotten those anywhere in France. Wax then shows Reece that it wasn't just an energy drink can. Hidden inside the can was his favorite pistol, which he always keeps with him. Reece and Wax arrive at the Chinese restaurant. Wax doesn't like the food and tells Reece, "This Chinese food is garbage." Reece explains that the dish isn't actually Chinese, it's an American dish. Wax then calls a waiter over and asks him about the dish. Suddenly, Wax slams the waiter's head onto the table and holds a gun to it. Reece panics and tells Wax, "Don't do this, he doesn't even know which dish you're talking about." Wax tells the waiter, "I'm talking about a Pakistani Chinese dish. It's white, looks like powder." Just then, some thugs open fire on Wax. Wax fires back. Reece is shocked and scared by what he's seeing. Wax kills each one of them, one by one. Reece, still confused, asks Wax why he's doing all this. Wax turns to the waiter again and clearly asks, "Where's the cocaine?" The waiter points to the ceiling. Wax shoots at the ceiling and cocaine starts raining down. Wax tells Rhys to collect some of the cocaine in a vase. Then Wax says to the waiter, "I didn't kill you so you could live. I let you live so you could go tell your boss what just happened." After that, Wax and Rhys leave the restaurant. A short distance away, Wax stops the car and waits. Rhys is still confused. He has no idea what's really going on. Then Wax signals Rhys to look at the same waiter he had spared earlier. Wax immediately starts following him. While chasing the waiter, Wax and Rhys end up in the compound of an old building. The waiter enters the building. Wax parks the car and is about to take weapons out of the trunk when a few thugs show up and tell him to move the car. Rhys gets nervous and tells Wax, "These guys are dangerous, we should get out of here." But Wax replies, "Man, I just gave you a straight-up Hong Kong Shaw Brothers Kung Fu motherfucking chop suey show, and you're worried about this candy-ass street gang?" Rhys says, "The guys you took down earlier were kitchen staff. These guys are real thugs." Wax says, "You think those were kitchen staff? They weren't. They were real thugs." Just then, one of the gang members pulls a knife on Wax and tries to threaten him. But without wasting a second, Wax starts beating them up, one by one, mercilessly. These gangsters are nothing for Wax, and in no time, they're all down. Rhys just stands there, stunned. Wax mocks Rhys, calling them kitchen staff. After that, Wax and Rhys enter the building. Wax tells Rhys to stay one floor below and shoot anyone who tries to run. Then Wax heads upstairs. On his way up, Wax takes down the security guards in his path. For Rhys, all of this is new, and he feels a bit anxious seeing such violence. Finally, Wax and Rhys enter a room where Chinese children are performing a cultural dance, and some Chinese people are enjoying the show. Suddenly, Wax and Rhys corner one of the Chinese men sitting there, and at gunpoint demand, "Either give me the address of the man who delivers all your cocaine, or I wipe out your little Beijing right here." Scared, the man writes down the delivery man's address on a piece of paper. As soon as Wax and Rhys leave, members of the Chinese gang start following them. They surround Wax and Rhys, and a shootout breaks out between Wax and the gang. But Wax kills them all, and both he and Rhys manage to escape. In the next scene, we see Rhys talking to his CIA officer. Rhys is suspicious of the way Wax operates, and wants to know if the mission he's been given is even official. The CIA officer says, "Yesterday you were swapping license plates. Today you've got a chance to work with our top operative, and even that's a problem for you." Rhys says, "I don't have a problem, but Wax got me walking around with a vase full of coke." The CIA officer replies, "If you want to be a real field operative, do exactly what Wax says." Then Rhys gets a call from Carolyn. She's worried because he hasn't come home yet and asks him where he is. But before he can respond, Rhys's phone battery runs low. He's a little frustrated that he can't talk to Carolyn. Wax notices this and teases Rhys like a mischievous friend. Rhys says, "You should meet Carolyn sometime. You'd really like her." After that, Wax is once again driving Rhys somewhere. This time, Rhys loses his patience and yells at Wax, "I'm sick of this. Drugs, cocaine, and drug lords. And after all of it, I still don't know where the fuck we're going, or what the fuck this is all about." Wax gets irritated by Rhys's outburst and says, "What the fuck do you think this is about?" Wax continues, "It's about terrorists, man, converting their finances into drugs so they can move around without being detected. It's about buying any type of explosives which can strike anyone, anywhere." Hearing this, Rhys is completely stunned. After that, Wax and Rhys arrive at the address given by the Chinese man, where they're supposed to find the delivery man. But instead of going directly to that address, Wax heads to the building right across from it, which turns out to be a brothel. To get inside, they need a hooker. Rhys makes a deal with a pimp there, and finally they get one. Then all of them enter the building. As soon as they get into the elevator, Rhys, annoyed, snaps at Wax, saying, "Don't make me deal with hookers and pimps like this." Just then, Carolyn appears and sees Rhys with the hooker. Before Rhys can explain anything, the elevator doors close. Now Rhys is completely furious and starts yelling at Wax. Wax says, "Instead of yelling at me, you should be asking your girlfriend what she was doing here." To that, Rhys replies that she came to buy fabric because she makes her own clothes. Wax tries to explain that this is all part of their job, but Rhys doesn't care. Then Wax kicks open the door to a room and tells everyone inside to get out. Rhys notices a charger in Men's hands and forcibly takes it. He starts charging his phone while Wax looks out the window. Rhys calls Carolyn and tries to explain that what she saw isn't what she thinks. Just then, Rhys notices two men entering the building across the street, the very people they've been looking for. As soon as the two men come back out, Wax and Rhys begin following them. The two men get into a van and drive off. Wax follows them to another building. At that location, Rhys tells a man that he wants to buy cocaine. The man takes them inside and asks them to wait while he goes to get his boss, Rashid. As soon as he leaves, some goons point guns at Wax and Rhys. The goons force them to remove all their valuables, including the ring Carolyn had given Rhys. Then Rashid arrives and puts on the ring, saying it looks better on him. Rashid gives Wax a small packet of cocaine. Wax says it's very pure and asks Rashid for a kilo. Hearing that, Rashid points a gun at Wax and tells him to get out. Quickly, Wax grabs Rashid's gun and points it back at him. He says, "If you can't give me 1 kilo, take me to the guy who can." Rhys tells Wax that possessing more than 5 grams can get you 15 years in prison. Wax replies, "That's perfect, because we have enough cocaine to send all of you to jail for 15 years. Then Rhys drops the vase, which shatters, revealing a huge amount of cocaine. Seeing this, all the goons panic and flee. Rhys then starts beating Rashid and demands his ring back. When he gets the ring, Rhys is overjoyed. Rashid then tells Wax and Rhys that the apartment right below his is where some Pakistanis live, and they're the ones actually running the drug operation. He brings Wax and Rhys into his room. Wax quickly uses a spy cam to look out the window into the apartment below. He sees the Pakistanis getting ready to leave. As soon as he sees this, Wax tells Rhys to go downstairs and shoot anyone who tries to escape. Wax breaks the window and uses a rope to drop down into the Pakistani apartment. He immediately opens fire on them. These Pakistanis turn out to be terrorists who are planning something big. They shoot back at Wax, but he manages to take them all out. Meanwhile, one of the terrorists tries to escape, but Rhys stops him. Rhys tells him to step back and get down. But suddenly, the terrorist forces his own head into Rhys's gun and pulls the trigger himself, killing himself instantly. Rhys is deeply shaken by what just happened. He's never been the reason for someone's death before. Wax asks him if they got them all or if anyone managed to escape. Rhys says he thinks some of them might have gotten away and were running toward the exit. Wax quickly looks out the window and sees a car pulling up. Without wasting a second, he grabs a bomb lying in the apartment and assembles it. As the remaining terrorists try to get into the car to escape, Wax throws the bomb toward the vehicle. The moment it hits, there's a huge explosion, wiping out the rest of the terrorists. Then Wax says, "Damn, this place is dripping with intel," and starts collecting the documents and files scattered around the room. Meanwhile, Rhys catches a glimpse of himself in a mirror. His face is covered in blood. Seeing himself like that, he feels completely shattered inside. He quietly wipes the blood off his face. Just then, Wax calls him into another room to show him something. When Rhys walks in, he's stunned. One of the walls is covered with photos of him and detailed information about his life. He turns to Wax and asks, "Why are my pictures here?" Wax replies, "We'll figure that out later. Right now, we need to get out of here." That evening, Wax and Rhys are finally relieved. The mission is done. 2 CIA officers arrive, and Wax hands over all the intel they recovered from the terrorists. Later, Rhys asks Wax where he's headed now that the mission is over. Wax says, "Wherever the next orders send me." Just then, Rhys receives a message from Carolyn, asking him to invite Wax over for dinner. Rhys arrives home and introduces Wax to everyone. Carolyn is overjoyed to see him. Her friend Nicole is also there. Wax meets Nicole and immediately drops a flirty line, saying she's so beautiful she could make men's jaws drop. But Nicole doesn't fall for it and snaps at him, asking, "What the hell were you thinking, taking Rhys to some hooker?" Wax brushes it off with sarcasm, saying he's just a rag importer picking up fabric, and jokes that most of his money goes to cars and women. Just then, Wax gets a call and steps aside to answer it. After the call, Carolyn teasingly asks Wax, "So what kind of fabric were you and Rhys picking up when I saw you?" Wax admits he was joking and says he doesn't work in any clothing business. He works in the cloak and dagger division of the embassy, just like Rhys. Rhys adds, "Mostly cloak," but Wax corrects him with a grin, "No, mostly dagger." Nicole asks, "So did you kill anyone today?" Wax casually replies, "Probably 1 an hour on average." Everyone laughs at his dark sense of humor. Carolyn turns to Rhys and asks, "What kind of people did you kill today, Rhys?" Rhys answers, "As usual, bad guys." But Wax jumps in, "Bad guys? Really?" They weren't just bad guys, they were suicide-vested, cold-hearted Pakistani motherfuckers. We took down an entire terrorist cell today. Rhys looks at Carolyn and says, "That's what we were doing in the elevator when you saw us." Everyone starts enjoying dinner, and the mood is cheerful. Then Nicole gets a phone call. The person on the other end asks about someone named Rose, and Nicole replies, "There's no Rose here." The moment Wax hears the word Rose, his entire demeanor changes. Before Rhys can fully grasp Wax's expression, Wax says, "That's the call we've been waiting for," and immediately pulls out his gun and shoots Nicole. Everyone is shocked and horrified. Rhys yells at Wax, "What the fuck, man?" Wax points the gun at Carolyn and orders, "Shut the fuck up and listen to me right now." He explains that Rose was the code word, and Nicole's number showed up on every Pakistani cell phone they found. Carolyn protests, screaming that just because Nicole was Pakistani doesn't mean she was a terrorist. Wax replies, "Yeah, she was. She's your friend, and you've got this apartment bugged." Rhys is distraught and frustrated, shouting, "What the hell are you talking about, Wax?" Wax says, "I'll show you what I'm talking about." He warns Carolyn not to move and then starts searching around the apartment. Eventually, he finds a hidden listening device and shows it to Rhys. "How much you want to bet she's got another dozen buried around here?" he says. Rhys is stunned. Carolyn defensively says, "You're the one who rented this apartment." Rhys tries to defend her, saying that before he started dating Carolyn, he had her thoroughly checked out. "She's totally clean, Wax." But Wax insists she's working for the same fucking people who took your picture, man. Rhys, angry and in disbelief, says, "No, I don't believe you. You've got the wrong girl, Wax." Then Wax asks him, "What are you wearing right now that she gave you?" He yells, "Your ring, man." That's how they've been tracking us. Wax tells Rhys, "If you don't believe me, give me the ring. I'll prove it right now." Carolyn pleads with Rhys not to give him the ring, but Rhys reluctantly takes it off and hands it to Wax. Wax explains, "If there's a transmission in the ring, it'll interfere with the stereo." As soon as he brings the ring close to the stereo, static interference confirms it. Rhys realizes the truth and is crushed. He turns to Carolyn and asks, "Why did you do this?" Knowing she's been exposed, Carolyn quickly pulls out a hidden gun and shoots Rhys in the shoulder. Then she fires at Wax and escapes the apartment. Wax chases after her, but just then a green Volvo pulls up beside Carolyn, and she jumps in and speeds off. Wax immediately calls in to have the green Volvo tracked. CIA officers remove all the hidden bugs from Rhys's apartment. It turns out there were 17 microphones and 5 hidden cameras planted throughout the place. Rhys is still in shock that Caroline betrayed him, and he's filled with regret and self-blame. Wax tells him, "This isn't your fault. You were in love, and love is always a bitch." Then Wax says, "Now we need to work. Think, where could Caroline be? Her family, her friends, anything." Rhys says Carolyn never told him anything about her personal life, and he never really asked. Just then, Rhys gets a call from Carolyn. Everyone immediately starts tracing the call through Rhys's phone. Rhys answers and Carolyn says, "Please don't bother tracing. I'll be off in a minute." She apologizes for how he had to find out the truth, saying she never wanted to hurt him. Rhys asks, "If you ever loved me, then please let me help you." Carolyn responds, 6 years ago I met a man who opened my eyes. He showed me my real purpose, my cause." Rhys asks, "And living with me, spying on me, was that part of the plan too?" Carolyn doesn't answer and hangs up. Wax and the CIA officers manage to trace her call and find out she's headed out of the city. Just then, Rhys gets a call from Ambassador Bennington, who angrily asks, "Where the hell are you? The delegation just landed. Why aren't you there to greet them?" Rhys tells Wax the American delegation just landed for the U.S. African AIDS Summit. As soon as Wax hears this, he connects the dots and realizes Carolyn and the man in the green Volvo are planning to attack the delegation on their way. He quickly tells a CIA officer to come with him. Rhys asks Wax, "Is that it? Don't you think this is too easy? Think for a second." Wax responds, "Thinking's your job. You think." Wax heads out in a car, tracking the green Volvo. Meanwhile, the U.S. delegation leaves the airport and is on its way to the summit venue. Rhys is still at his apartment, and he tells the CIA officer there, "Something's not right. It doesn't make any sense." He says, "If they wanted to hit the delegation, why bug my apartment? Why use me?" Wax finally spots the green Volvo being driven by a man. Back in the apartment, Rhys starts going through Carolyn's belongings. He finds a dress design and realizes it's the same one that the summit representatives will be wearing. That's when it all clicks for him. On the other side, Wax is just about to take out the green Volvo with a rocket launcher when Rhys calls. Rhys tells him, Carolyn's not in that car. Wax says, I can see her. She's in the car. But Rhys insists it's a decoy. Carolyn's going to enter the summit disguised as a delegate. Wax, listening to Rhys, approaches the car and realizes the woman he thought was Carolyn is actually just a mannequin. Wax says, you're right, she's not here. Rhys says, I'm heading to the summit. Wax then takes aim and fires the rocket launcher at the green Volvo, blowing it up completely. Rhys runs to the summit venue. Just then, he gets a call from Wax. Wax tells him, Carolyn will probably be wearing one of those shock-activated vests like the ones we saw in the Pakistani apartment. Rhys refuses to believe it and says Carolyn wouldn't do that. He insists he can talk to her and fix everything. But Wax tells him talking won't help. Rhys ignores him and hangs up. Rhys finds Bennington and says, I need to talk to you right now, sir. As Rhys crosses the metal detector, the alarm goes off. He's carrying a gun. Security guards immediately grab him and take his weapon. Bennington looks shocked and asks, what the hell is going on? Since when do you carry a gun? Rhys says, there's a suicide bomber inside the embassy. You need to stop this summit. Bennington says he hasn't received any intel like that, but Rhys says, you need to trust me right now. Bennington orders the guards to release him. As soon as he's free, Rhys rushes inside to find Carolyn. In the conference hall, he sees that many people are wearing the same orange outfit. He scans the crowd, looking for her. Finally, Rhys spots Carolyn and immediately pulls his gun on her. He tells her not to move, that he doesn't want to shoot. Carolyn stops and reveals her face. Then she opens her jacket to show the bomb vest. The security guards aim their guns, but Rhys yells, don't shoot, the vest will explode. Rhys tries to talk her down. Please don't do this. Let me help you, he pleads. Carolyn says she doesn't need help. I'm at peace, she says. Rhys keeps trying to get through to her. By then, Wax arrives at the scene too. Carolyn doesn't listen. She's about to activate the bomb. Rhys, with no other choice, shoots her in the head. Wax catches her before her body hits the ground. Knowing the vest is shock activated, he manages to safely deactivate the bomb. Rhys is devastated. No matter what, he truly loved her. At the end, Wax tells him, I'm sorry about Carolyn. He gives Rhys a gift. Inside are photos of Rhys and Carolyn. Rhys thanks him. Now Rhys is no longer just a desk guy. He's fully a field agent. Wax smiles and says, welcome to the club. So that was the end of the movie. If you liked the explanation, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.